Now, the next thing I want to tackle is the circular flow of the economy. Now, I know in class we went fairly quickly on this, and so I want to make sure we understand that there is, in fact, a symbiotic relationship where everyone in the economy is dependent upon everybody else. Sometimes we don't think of it that way. So we're going to, again, use Bikini Bottom because that's what's important in life. And we have over here on this side SpongeBob and Squidward representing households. Okay? And then over here, we've got the Krusty Krab, which is here to represent businesses. Okay? So far, so good. Now, in a free economy, we will generally think of as households who represent private individuals as owning all the factors of production. So the factors of production are what we think of as land, okay, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial ability. So amongst all of our households everywhere in the United States, we own land, we own labor, we own capital, we own entrepreneurial ability. This is real easy to understand if you just think of yourself and the labor that you own. You're capable of selling that labor and doing whatever with it as you please. Well, the same thing's true for land and capital and entrepreneurial ability. It's just hard for us to grasp that sometimes. So just think of it that way. I mean, and I'll give you an example. Let's say that you personally don't own land, okay? But we collectively as a society, land is privately owned, or even capital. So let's say I don't own any capital myself at my house. However, I own stock in companies, and those companies own capital. Since I own the company, therefore I own the capital. So we do have private ownership, and that's represented by land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial ability being part of the households. Okay? Then what we'd like to do is understand that businesses use those four resources to then make a product, a good, or a service that we would like to buy at some point in time. So basically we have two more entities we want to put up here. We've got what is known as the resource market, okay? And that's just a market like any other market where people go and buy things and sell things. Except in this case, they're buying resources and selling resources. So what we need to understand, and let's draw a little square around it to separate it. We need to understand that it's the households that are taking their resources to the resource market for sale. Okay? And so let's just label this up. This flow in the circular flow is the flow of land and labor and capital and entrepreneurial ability. So we would take our resources to the resource market where hopefully a business will buy them and then we'll deliver them to the business. So let's go ahead and add the capital and the entrepreneur as abbreviated, ENT. Okay? Now, businesses turn those resources into goods and services that we will hopefully want to buy. So we're going to add another place down here called the product market. Okay? And businesses are going to take that land, labor, capital, entrepreneurial ability, and they're going to turn it into goods and services that they're going to sell in the product market, where we, at some point, may take it back to our homes. Okay? This flow is called goods and services. So we label it up, goods and services. Cool. So that's the flow of the resources that get turned into goods and services that we want to buy. Now, none of this is done for free, obviously. When I sell my labor, I expect to get a paycheck, and you guys would too. So the businesses are going to take their money to the resource market, and then when we sell our resources, we're going to take the money back home. Okay? But it's important that we know what this money is called. So the payment for land is rent. The payment for for labor is wages. The payment for capital is interest. And then the entrepreneur earns profits. Okay? And then what we do, since we're part of the economy and we depend on each other, is we take our rent and our wages and our interest and our profits, and sometimes we save some of it, but then we also spend some of it. So the spending comes along over here. We take basically our consumer spending, or more correctly, our consumer expenditures, and we take them to the product market, where we then buy our goods and services. And then the process starts all over. So now the business has more cash that they can buy more resources with, and then as they buy those resources, households then have more cash which they can buy goods and services with, which then gives more money to the businesses and so on. So it's a big circle. Now there's something in the middle of this circle that we should probably also talk about, and that is the big letter G. All right? G is just the government. And the government is also it's a part of the economy. So let's just let's put some stuff on here to make it complicated. Governments tax businesses and households, okay? So we send our taxes to the government. No big deal. Now the government uses that tax money, believe it or not, to buy resources. So they'll send the money there to buy resources. And the government buys products. So they send the money to the product market as well. So in return for our taxes, they also, let's see, they're going to provide goods and services, or maybe transfer payments. Transfers, and we'll just say services. So what are those? Transfers are going to be like Social Security payments, welfare, unemployment benefits from the government. The services could be things like education, police protection, fire, the roads we drive on, things like that. And then same thing with businesses. So the government also provides transfers as well as services to businesses. Okay? And then of course the government does hire people from the resource market as well as other resources, and it buys goods and services from the product market. So that's how the flow of the economy works. And the interesting thing is that if we were to decrease any of these money flows, then it's going to have to decrease throughout. So as an example, if I decide to quit buying things from a business, the business would also not have as much money as they previously had to hire people. Okay? And then if they quit hiring people, households have less money to spend, and so on. It becomes a cycle of, I guess you could say, recession. But then on the other hand, as we spend more money, businesses have more money to hire, and so that's a circle of, say, expansion in the economy. So we are dependent on each other, and I just wanted to point out that that's how the economy works, if you looked at it as a circular flow. Anyway, I hope that helps, and have a good day.